Nebraska just wrapped up an absolutely jam-packed recruiting weekend, their biggest yet, over the past couple hours. I've learned some huge inside nuggets on everything that happened. Not one, not two, but three players who will be committing today. I'm going to give you the scoop there. A couple prospects who are officially on flip watch. Some positive news around a 4-star wide receiver and a 4-star offensive tackle. What's going on with an Omaha DB who's very close to committing? What's going on with Dowden SONE? And so much more. We have a lot to talk about. This video is loaded. Make sure you watch the entire thing because it is nuts. Hit that like button if you're fired up. And also, I want to formally thank every single one of you for 12,000 subscribers on the channel. I'm so grateful. I'm going to continue to work hard every single day to bring the best content on Nebraska YouTube, whether it's recruiting updates just like this, breaking news, analysis, and so much more. So if you're not a part of this family, be a part of it. Hit that subscribe button. Thank you so much. But without further ado, we have a lot to talk about. Nebraska just wrapped up their last recruiting weekend of the summer, and it was a big one. They went out with a bang. A lot of players who are very close to committing, whether it's today, whether it's next week, whether it's this week. We have a lot to talk about. Let's get things started with a 4-star DB who will be committing today. Coming out of Orlando, Florida, this is Dane Odom, listed at 6'2", 180 pounds. Physical corner. Nebraska needs to have a good secondary class, especially after losing CJ Brana. Now, he will be committing today officially at 4 p.m. Central. He's down to Nebraska, Clemson, Penn State, Oklahoma, and Ohio State. Now, going into this weekend for Nebraska, they had a lot of ground to make up. It looked like Oklahoma was the favorite. He was very close to committing to the Sooners before he ended up visiting Nebraska. He was probably not even going to make his visit, but decided, you know what? I want to check out the Huskers. I want to check out Ohio State. So for a long time, it looked like Oklahoma was the favorite. But I can firmly tell you, after Saturday, Nebraska is now the odds-on favorite to land his commitment today. We've seen a lot of crystal balls rolling from Sean Callahan, Brian Munson, a couple of national beat reporters. Things are looking very good for Dane Odom. And there's a couple of reasons why. They pulled out the red carpet. We know they brought a lot of his friends to Lincoln as well, whether it's Devin Jackson, we're about to talk about, Larry Miles. They're really trying to build that Nebraska connection. Jacory Barney was talking with Dane Odom most of the weekend. We know that Philip Simpson, the most valuable recruiter on this coaching staff for Nebraska, was pulling all the stops to try to get him here. So again, give Philip Simpson his flowers because he's going to work once again building up this Florida connection. So Dane Odom, things are looking very good for Nebraska committing at 4 p.m. today. Now, I will say this. I'm not 100% sold. I'm not going to guarantee commits to Nebraska. There is still an outside shot that, Oklahoma could land his commitment. I am a little bit worried about Penn State too. He's actually originally from Penn State, but you look at the crystal balls, you look at the way this is going, I feel very good about Nebraska landing his commitment. The last thing I'll say about Dane Odom though, it's going to be a long time from now to sign day, if you know what I mean. This is somebody who Nebraska needs to fend off from a couple guys who are trying to flip him, whether it's Ohio State, whether it's Oklahoma. If he commits to us today, just know his recruitment isn't over because this is somebody who's a very, very good prospect. He's a top 100 player in America according to Rivals right now. He's about as good as CJ Brana. So this is somebody that if he commits to Nebraska, that's great, but we're going to still have to earn his commitment as this goes on. We're going to have to win football games or else he might flip. So just want to get that update though, but things are looking very good for Dane Odom. I'm fired up. Then let's talk about his friend, also out of Orlando, Florida, Devin Jackson, 4-star safety, 6'2", about 200 pounds. Now, his recruiting process has been very interesting. Just like Danny, he's been blowing up recently, picking up a lot of good offers. Now, for all intents and purposes, I believe that right now Miami is the favorite. It's been that way for some time, but just like Danny, Nebraska, they had a lot of ground to work up going into this weekend, and right now Nebraska once again is the favorite for the exact same reasons I just shared with you, bringing out that Nebraska connection. It feels like they want to be a package deal. They're very good friends. They can't be a package deal at Oregon. They can't be a package deal at Miami. They can't be a package deal at LSU. The only school that's recruiting both of them is really Nebraska. So if they want to play together at the next level, it's going to be in Lincoln. So that's something that Nebraska, they were really trying to preach throughout this weekend. I think it really, really worked. Now, Devin Jackson is not committing today, but we could see something in the next week. We could see something next week. But once again, just like Danny, I'm not willing to guarantee it. I still believe Miami is something that's really, really something to worry about. He really likes Florida. Really doesn't want to leave the state. He loves that Miami area. So Devin Jackson, somebody who had a great weekend. Obviously, you see here him with Larry Miles, who we're about to talk about. But it's really us or Miami at this point. I'm not really worried about Oregon. LSU, he had a good visit there. Not really worried about LSU. I think it's going to be us or the Hurricanes, but expect an announcement probably this week or next week. Then last Orlando guy, before we get into some of the other big names, some offensive linemen, we have some big updates around them. Let's talk about Larry Miles. This is somebody who honestly, I think Nebraska's going to land his commitment as well on July 1st. We haven't seen any crystal balls roll in, but pretty much down Nebraska, Kentucky. Pitt's kind of in there. Not really worried about Pitt, but it's same deal. If Nebraska has a committable offer on the table, which I believe they do, if Nebraska really, really wants Larry Miles, I see no reason why he's not going to commit. Again, this weekend was just hands down the best of the three. They try to do everything they could to get all these guys. They want to be a package deal. All these guys are best friends. They want to go 3 for 3. I believe they will. Larry Miles in a really good place. But again, he's committing on July 1st. Us or Kentucky, could see it go either way. But again, if the momentum rolls and we get Dane, we get Devin, we're going to definitely get Larry. So feel good about that if a committable offer is on the table. And I believe it is. If he's taking an official visit, that means we have a committable offer on the table. So feeling really good about those guys. Might go 3 for 3. One of them is committing today. Then let's talk about Javion Cooper, because he was probably the biggest story the entire weekend. I don't know if you guys saw this, but of course, it's the 4-star offensive tackle. It's currently committed to Syracuse. Kind of visited Nebraska last second. It was his birthday while he was visiting Nebraska. So they had a dinner at the state capitol. They've done this with every single one of their group of official visitors, whether it was the June 6th weekend, June 13th weekend, or this weekend. And it was his birthday. So Dylan Raiola right here with the cake, he brought it out. They were singing happy birthday to Javion. He's sitting there with some of the players on the team. You see Kaahaaina-Torres. You see, of course, right there, Klama Puma, who we're about to talk about in the background. So he just had an absolutely special weekend. He said, thank you, Husker football, for making my birthday special on my official visit. So I'm just saying, we pulled all the stops. We had Dylan Raiola deliver him a cake on his birthday. Man, I mean, we're in a good place for Javion Cooper. So again, he talked to a lot of interviewers. He said that he really liked how genuine the staff was. He liked how they're recruiting him to play offensive tackle. He's not being recruited to play that at Syracuse. He just said it was special. Time and time again, the word he used was special. It was special to him, man, to be there. So he's kind of silent about what he's going to do next. He still is a hard Syracuse commit. It's been that way for a while. It's pretty much down Nebraska, Colorado, Syracuse. But I could see, Nebraska try to push for this commitment very quickly here. If they could, if he could commit in the next week, I like our odds. But if he waits till the season, then he's probably going to stay with Syracuse. But really, if Nebraska can continue to, work hard with him, chip away, have a winning season, could very well see him circle back if we end up winning 8-9 games. But man, Javion Cooper, somebody Nebraska really wants. I believe really it's going to be Nebraska or Syracuse. Hopefully we can land, because this is a big body guy coming out of Florida. We need some 4-star offensive tackles. He can play guard too. So really, really like his game. Then Nayland Scott, somebody who I expect to commit today or tomorrow or anytime this week. We've seen crystal balls rolling for this guy. I've told you guys for a while, I feel really good about Nayland Scott. If he ends up making the trip, it was just up in the air whether or not he was going to make it. And he did, in fact, man, he had a great time. Now, first thing that should be noted around Nayland Scott, of course, crystal balls have rolled in from big time reporters. Like, he will be committing to Nebraska unless anything changes here. That's the first thing to say. Second thing to say is that he's an Arizona State commit. They have a no tolerance for players who are committed to visit other schools. Tells you a lot there. Arizona State, not happy with that. And the third thing is just Nebraska roll out the red carpet for him. They made him feel like he was valued. He's the number one wide receiver on our board right now, which is very evident. Dylan Raiola spent a lot of personal time with him. Trey Taylor as well. So Nayland Scott, somebody who I expect news to happen very quickly here, flipping from Arizona State to Nebraska. Just big time news there. Again, I'll save my full analysis for when he actually commits. The same with all these rest of these guys, but we're in a really good place for Nayland Scott. And we need a 4-star wide receiver in this class. We know that CJ Bond or Davion Ball, what he's about to decommit. It is what it is, because Nebraska doesn't really want him anymore. We need a guy like Nayland Scott. They answer the bell. We're about to get him. So feeling really good about Mr. Nayland Scott. And then last guy who was on official visit before we get to some of the other news, Klama Puma. Again, he will be committing next Sunday. So mark your calendar. I believe that's June 29th. He's pretty much down to Nebraska, Florida, and Auburn for all intents and purposes. It's pretty much going to be Nebraska or Auburn. Now, Klama Puma is somebody who took a lot of interviews as well, and he said that Nebraska right now is firmly on top. Now, a lot could change in a week. I don't believe he's completely silent committed to the school yet, but things are looking really good for Klama Puma. We know that Trey Taylor's been peer recruiting him. We know that Dane Ryle's been doing a good job along with his brother Dylan. So, Claude, we're in a really good place for him. I expect Nebraska to land him next Sunday, but just know, again, not a done deal. We could see a lot change if some NIL happened last second here, but Klama Puma, Huskers are in a really good spot for somebody who, again, we need some 4-star offensive tackles. Nebraska in a good spot, pretty much us or Auburn. Florida, I honestly thought Florida was going to land him for a long time, but Florida just landed a 4-star offensive tackle, and that kind of put him off the board. So we're kind of lucky. We're kind of lucky that Florida did us a solid there. So feeling good about Claude, but a lot can change. We'll keep you guys posted throughout the week. Then a couple guys who will be committing very, very soon, or some other news around some prospects. We know Jamal Rule's committing today. It's Nebraska. I told you guys that on Friday before all the crystal balls rolled in. Here they are. So again, it's going to be Jamal Rule. He's a silent commit. Already told you that. We'll say my full analysis for that video. He's committing, I want to say, 5:30 today, so watch out for that video. Zion Robinson, somebody who I want to give you a status check on. So obviously, he visited on Wednesday, kind of a surprise visit out of nowhere. Learn some more nuggets about this. Nebraska has a better shot for him than honestly I initially anticipated. Now, this is a top 100 receiver, 6'3", track athlete, pretty much down in Nebraska, Michigan, Miami. Stanford, I really didn't feel like he was too interested in Stanford. Now, this is still wide open. He wants to commit in July. I could see Nebraska just be aggressive here with NIL, say, hey, we need Nayland Scott, we need Zion Robinson, we need our wide receivers, let's get this done. Zion Robinson, we're in a good place. He actually has some ties to Omaha. His dad has a lot of ties to this area. So Zion Robinson, somebody who's just kind of out of the blue, but Nebraska might work quicker to get his commitment. Obviously, we'll save that full analysis. But the Huskers, again, this is so wide open. I could see him committing pretty much middle of July, late July, maybe even August. But just know Miami, Michigan, Nebraska, we will see what happens here. I think I'd probably say Michigan's the favorite from everything I've heard so far. Probably Michigan, Miami, Nebraska in that order. But just know Nebraska, it's not as much of a long shot as we originally anticipated. Couple of things I want to get to before we get out of here. Darion Jones, we knew it was a big weekend for him. He went over to Iowa. Of course, this is a Nebraska versus Iowa battle to get his commitment on July 4th. Now, from everything I heard, he wasn't thrilled with his Iowa visit. Now, again, usually when you're reading these articles after a visit, these guys are like, oh, it was the best visit of my life. It was so great. He said it was just okay. It was an okay visit to Iowa. He said, and I quote, the best part of his visit was the facilities and the campus. Really? Does that really move the needle for Darion Jones? The best part of his visit was the facilities? Dude, Nebraska's facilities compared to Iowa's facilities, we're here. Here's Iowa. So if that was the best part of his visit, feeling a lot better about Nebraska's odds. So listen, it's going to be hard for Darion Jones to say no to Iowa. He grew up to be an Iowa fan. It's so tough to say no to, but I think with him potentially playing with his brother, staying home, staying in this area, I expect to land him on July 4th. This is a big time edition. I'm a big Darion Jones guy. I was fine for Nebraska to offer him. We offered him. Now fighting for us to land him, and I think we will. Last thing I want to give you a stat check around. SONE made the trip to Georgia this weekend. Georgia was trying to get him to commit. They were pushing the needle. They were trying to get him to sign the dotted lines. Hey, it's over. And he did not commit. It really felt like he, just really wasn't too impressed by the Bulldogs. Now, the way things are looking with SONE, to be perfectly honest with you, is I believe he will be committing likely in the fall at this point, whether it's October, November, it could even be a sign day commitment. So this is somebody who just don't expect him to commit very soon. It's probably going to be later in the fall. He's going to draw this out, go on some more visits in the fall. He might go back to Nebraska. Honestly, if I'm Nebraska, I'm trying to get him for that Michigan game. So just want to give you that update around SONE. It's going to be a hard one to land. Just know if we win and we're aggressive with our NIL, I feel good about it, but you just got to win. That's very, very important for him, along with, having the right number, because it's becoming an NIL bidding war. It really is. Like, that's just the hard truth. For a guy as good as him, that's just the way it is with all these prospects. Every top 100 prospect in America, it's going to be a bidding war for. Just know that going into it. But Nebraska, they will be aggressive here. Just got to win as well. So just wanted to give you that status check. All right, guys, a lot of big-time Nebraska recruiting news. Not one, not two, but three players who are committing likely today. Of course, Danny Odom, Jamal Rule, and then Nayland Scott. Whether it's today, tomorrow, this week, I think we could see some today. So those are the three guys. Watch out for those videos. I'll post the second they commit, give you my instant reaction and all that. All right, guys, let me know your thoughts down below about everything. Comment your thoughts once again. Hit that like button and subscribe if you made this far. As always, folks, go my Rule, and I'll see you in the next one.